What's up, guys? It's John at National Sports Entertainment, and I wanted to go into our tomorrow's playoff games, which are basically going to be some of the most important in the series. Obviously, some might close out, and we're going to be right on the edge of the Western and Eastern Conference Finals. As far as today, it's a rare occasion where I was very happy to be wrong on this one because if you've been following, the Sixers have been my preseason pick to win the entire thing. That being said, I thought they were, for Game 5, I had a feeling the Celtics were going to win, and then Doc was going to take 6 and 7. So now it's just reassessing what order we think it's going to happen in. Does Philly shock everyone and just do it in 6? Or is it going to be Boston and we get a Game 7 WrestleMania-type match? So that's interesting, but again, definitely a good one. The Sixers are now Vegas odds to win the entire thing. So they're 3-1. They were around 20-1 at the beginning of the season. That's when I placed my ticket. So anywhere from, I would say 14-1 to 20-1 is what most people were probably getting. Even going into the playoffs, they were around 8 to 10-1. So anyone that got in, you could basically hedge at this point, but I'm not hedging. I'm just going to ride with it. Now we got the Suns Nuggets. Now, if you know me, I am extremely adamant when I have a certain narrative that I believe in. But if something comes to my mind, I also like to reassess. And there's a couple things on the Nuggets I just completely overlooked. And it's not that I overlooked them. I don't follow like all of the talking heads all the time. So today I was just perusing through some old arguments, if you will, on First Take and the other shows, and I noticed that the most, high traffic topic was Joker versus Embiid, right? The whole racism in the MVP voting, and I find it very interesting. And now that it's going to take a lot, let's be honest, for my prediction of Suns Warriors to happen, and to me, it's starting to write itself because they made a point of making that a very high talking point as far as Embiid and Joker. So it would be interesting if they met up in the finals. Then you could have, the argument, okay, well, now we'll see who the MVP truly is. Secondly, I did forget that the Lakers eliminated the Nuggets in the Western Conference Finals in 2020. So to me, Lakers-Nuggets rematch, Nuggets win, is starting to make a lot of sense. So I just wanted to put that out there for the people that, aren't too sure, kind of like me. Or, I'm basically, I said from the beginning of the year, a lot of the teams in the West, they were replaceable to me because there's only one winner. And I really believe it's going to be the Doc redemption story. And he's going to probably be down a couple games and win or something to that effect. But as far as the West, there's so many narratives. It's way more entertainment-based, in my opinion, whereas the East is more gritty. Of course, that Celtics-Sixers game the other day was pretty darn entertaining. But, yeah, so Suns-Warriors made sense to me. And, of course, we'll always assess it game by game. I do have the Warriors, and I'll go into that in a second. I do like them tomorrow. But as far as the Nuggets, yeah, I do think Embiid and Joker would be a nice draw. They want that international appeal. And it'd be interesting, for a guy that probably should have won MVP. The guy basically averaged a triple-double, and they had a good season. It'd be really interesting for him and Joel to match up against each other. So I am definitely keeping that in my mind. And again, the Suns can easily... I think this will be a 7-game series. But it's just something that makes sense to me. Also, Denver-Lakers makes sense to me as well. Not that the Suns-Lakers doesn't make sense, like I said. They all write themselves. But when I went over it the other day, I had said I don't see any draw for the Nuggets, and now I do. Again, looking back if you watch back that debate they had, it was pretty intense. So it'd be very interesting to see them actually match up, and Perkins and Redick and all these guys going at it. So as far as tomorrow, we got the Warriors at home, and I do think they will win and cover. Again, I think at this point a lot of people are just checking out the Warriors. They feel like they checked out, and that could be the case. But I do think that we're still going to see them prove that they're the champions. They're not just going to be destroyed at home. And again, I know I have a few of them going 7 games. I think this is going 7 games. And I don't see any reason for it not to. So I do like the Warriors for the cover. I do think that they'll force a game 6. And then as far as, and actually a game 7 as well. And then for the Heat Knicks is I do have the opposite idea. It seems like they're really trying to establish the Heat. And rightfully so, because right now at the odds they are, I believe, 14-1 as per MGM. Meaning there's going to be a lot of public that sees that and says, wow, these guys are 1 game out of the Eastern Conference Finals and they're getting 14-1. It was happening with the Mavericks last year. So the public is probably going to slam the Heat. So I think that they're going to have the Heat beat the Knicks, of course, and they're going to get slammed. Meanwhile, the Sixers and Celtics are going to have a back and forth matchup. So the Heat are going to quote, have those rest days where they can relax while the other teams are playing. So, yeah, I do think that the Heat finish it off in Game 5. And, of course, I'm going to take the money line because they are getting 3.5 points. So, of course, I want the odds. Now, it always could come down, again, just to the public line and things of that nature, how much money the public is on. Sure, they could extend it another game. But with the way they ran through the Bucks, I really think they're going to do the same thing here. Be the first team to advance, and they will be in the Eastern Conference Finals. And again, to me, it just makes perfect sense. You got PJ Tucker versus his old team. And PJ Tucker, I keep saying it. It's funny because I had actually said the Sixers are a PJ Tucker away from the finals. And when they got him, I said that's why I think this year they're going to make it. And then Embiid basically said the same thing. So it's interesting. So it's not a coincidence. Guys like PJ Tucker, these journeymen, are on championship teams. And I think him leaving the Heat was very symbolic, essentially saying they are not going to be winning. It's going to be wherever PJ Tucker is. He won with the Bucks, so it just seems to be full circle. He just knocked out the Bucks, and now you're going to have PJ going against his old team, which, again, he played for them. So for a guy, for a scripted league, he can sell perfectly, and he can do well when he needs to. So he can follow the script perfect, and I do think that's why, again, among many other reasons, the Sixers are going to win it. But yeah, for tomorrow, I think the Heat close it out, so I think they win 4-1, and I like the Warriors to make it 2-3, 3-2, however you want to call it. As far as baseball, I went today. I believe if the Giants hold, we finished 3-3, which is always fine, especially because we got a plus 180. I went into that in my last video. I'll get some baseball out. A lot of people prefer the basketball, which I get, but I always say the baseball is where you're going to make more money. But yeah, it's weird, as far as the one thing that I really do like about this is it's not that I like it, but I think it's going to finally quash a year-long debate, if you will, which reigns supreme, gematria or narratives. And obviously, gematria is all over the Lakers. People from the beginning of the year are posting videos that the Lakers are going to win the championship because of the coronation of the king and because of all different, geometric ordinals and prime numbers. And they up till now, people are telling me it's been, it's already there. I personally think the Doc story, the 76th year, it's James Harden's 13th year. We can't forget that. Anybody that follows, the symbolism should understand that. Curry just did it in his 13th year. So there's a lot lining up. I think the narratives, Doc, the redemption, giving him a nice send-off as Curry just got, makes more sense. Especially if you factor in, you're either going to get Sixers, Lakers, which again, that writes itself. You might get Embiid and Joker, which again writes itself. Or you're going to have Doc versus Chris Paul. So all of them to me make sense. But like I said, I think it's gonna. I think we're gonna see in the finals that it's all about narratives. People are telling me that they keep zooming in on Doc whenever Boston goes on a run, and I just expect something like that to happen. And maybe it'll be against the Heat, and definitely in the finals, I think he's going to blow some leads or be up 3-1 and then lose 2, something to that effect, or be down and come back crazy. Just something where they're going to question if Doc's going to be a good coach. And the reason, again, you might wonder, someone said, they don't put narratives around coaches. Well, they had the horrible, so, I mean, they do. And at the beginning of the year, they had a poll who's most likely to get fired. And he was ahead of Steve Nash. He was number one on that list. Vegas odds had him getting fired first. So I don't think they'd have him looking so bad than to go this far and not get it done. So if there's any year for Doc, it's this year. And the Lakers, I've gone over this before. I don't think LeBron's doing anything until Bronny gets drafted. A lot of people think he's going to win and then Bronny gets drafted. To me, that doesn't make sense. To me, it makes sense that he just kind of keeps coming close and then Bronny gets, drafted probably to the Lakers or whatever team, and they play together and win. So, yeah, I just wanted to go into some updated things I've noticed. The biggest one being the possibility of Joker and Embiid. Like I said, especially, let's just say hypothetically, the Suns lose tomorrow, right? Or not tomorrow. The Warriors lose tomorrow. Then, obviously, there goes Warriors Suns, and I'm going to be completely on board with the Nuggets. So a lot of this I do have to reassess because it is like wrestling. If two good guys win, then a bad guy's gotta. It's just not going to work. Like, you need a good guy to win and a bad guy to win, so it's going to match up. Same thing with the playoffs. If you have certain matchups that, to me, they just don't make sense. So I do think that they're very contingent. If the Warriors do get checked out tonight, technically tonight, even though I do have the Warriors covering and forcing a Game 6, then I'm going to like the Nuggets a lot more. Because then in my mind, there's no need for the Suns if there's no Warriors. And there's no need for the Warriors if there's no Suns. So I know it sounds a little confusing, but essentially that matchup is what I like. So we'll have to see what happens there. And as far as, the Heat, I think they're going to get a lot of public money. It just makes sense to me. And again, I brought this up before. My color theory looks like it's going to reign true, possibly again now. Another red and white team. The Sixers colors are almost identical to the UConns, and the Heat are also red and white. And it's interesting because they're going to be playing a team, most definitely, that's like a blue gold, purple gold. And those were the winners of 2 years ago. The Astros, the Warriors, the Rams, etc. So this color theory really does seem to be holding true. I mean, with every sport it's coming through. It's the reason I like the Hurricanes. It just, and I think there's other teams that are red and white. But if you look at the league as a whole, again, all of the leagues, I think baseball has the highest amount of red and white teams. But you're only looking at about 10 to 15% of the teams having just red and white with maybe a little trim of blue or black. You're not seeing like half the teams with those colors. Coming out of the East, we had Bulls, Heat, and the Cavs were in it, and the Sixers. And out of the 10 teams, of course, that made the playoffs. And, of course, I don't think anyone expected the Cavs to do anything. But, yeah, it's just really interesting. And then all the teams left on the other end have that powder blue gold trim. So to me, the colors are more indicative than anything else, just because they keep hitting. They keep hitting. Again, it was all the same colors 2 years ago, and so far we have all the same this year. The Chiefs have been the only one that has been a little off, and it's still red and white. It's just their red isn't a crimson red. It's a lighter red. So yeah. Nothing crazy, just like every night I wanted to go into why I like who I do tomorrow. Again, Warriors, between the public money, the ratings, I think they get the win in the cover. And as far as Heat Knicks, I think the Heat put it away. But yeah, let me know what you think of the Joker Embiid narrative, because again, I just thought of it. I was watching the old clips, and I'm like, they're really getting heated about this topic. Maybe they carry it on into the off season. And then again, that would probably set up Lakers Nuggets first, which would be interesting because you'd have the opportunity for a vengeance game. The Lakers, obviously, the year they won, booted out the Nuggets. So I'm just curious. I also looked at the latest Vegas odds, and for the Suns and Warriors to meet up is very, very unlikely. So I like to reassess the second I think something seems inevitable. I'm not just gonna reassess after one game. But when it seems like they're really lining something up, And again, they haven't done anything to really tease Warriors Suns since 6 months ago. They really set it up all year. And maybe that was why. Maybe they wanted people to just assume those two teams were going to go to the championship. And if they did, maybe it worked on me. But yeah, I think just looking at it, the international appeal is another thing that I think people are sleeping on. They want to appeal to the international audience. How do you do that? You get Joker, obviously Embiid from Canada. So you just get, different countries involved. And without giving away too much, next year is the 77th year, and I think there's going to be an individual that gets some flowers. So, yeah, I think not much has changed. It's funny because if you go back and watch my first bracket, while some of the teams are interchangeable, the same narrative that I have is Doc. It's always going to be Doc. I don't know. It just, to me, it makes sense. Another interesting thing I noticed with Denver, and you can call this a reach, but if that's a reach, then, all of Gematria I see is certainly a reach. It's the year of Russell, right? So we're going to have Russell, likely, if we get the Lakers Nuggets, we'll have D'Angelo Russell playing the Nuggets. And obviously Russell Westbrook got eliminated. But Denver, the other Denver, has a Russell W of their own. And William Russell just died. So I've had this theory for a while that there's sister teams where one sport kind of is related to one team in one league is related to another team in another league. An example would be the Chiefs and Warriors remind me of essentially the same team. So again, it could be a complete coincidence, but in the year of Russell, with Russell on Denver, I do think that's an interesting thing. Now, does that mean they win the whole thing? No, I don't think so. Again, I think if anything, they would smear Russell. So I have the Nuggets with a much greater probability of going to the finals, but I still love the Sixers to win it. So yeah, I just wanted to go into that for the people that want to do future bets. The Sixers are still getting 3-1, so that's still good odds. If you already got it on that, that's great. You can either hedge or just ride it out like me. And I wanted to just reassess the Warriors Suns because, again, it's something that I believed would happen, and I'm not completely ruling it out. It's just after these last couple games, and after seeing the Jokic, Embiid, and I should have thought of it sooner because, Joker wins 2 in a row, probably should have won 3. Embiid gets it. That's got fans already going to be a little annoyed being, in the mind of the NBA, if they genuinely think fans are racist, which is what Perkins said, then you're going to have people saying, oh man, Joker should have won, this is bullshit, and wanting to see a rivalry with these two individuals. And as far as I know, we really haven't seen many matchups with those two teams. So yeah, the most I can take from this is I like Philly that much more, as I do every day. But now when I'm prioritizing teams, I have the Nuggets. I got them ahead of the Lakers. I got them ahead of the Warriors and ahead of the Suns, to be honest. So right now, gun to head, I got to say Nuggets and Sixers. And, I understand that that's not who I originally had, but I'm not going to just, pretend that I didn't have another team. I'm just going to be honest and say, yeah, I didn't call that right, but reassess. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. If somehow the Suns Warriors happens, I doubt it. I'm not going to, walk it back and say, oh, yeah, I knew it all along. Because at this point, I am pulling the plug on that officially. I just don't think it's going to happen. Too many people would be paid out too much money, to be honest, at this point. Especially, there's probably people going to be trying to get in on them down 3-1, down 3-2 at good odds. So yeah, Embiid versus Joker. That is my new prediction. I think that makes sense. And again, just let me know what you think. If you can give me all the crap you want for being off on the Warriors Suns. I genuinely thought we would have got it. Maybe we'll get it next year. Again, I didn't have either of those teams winning the finals anyway. I think it's coming out of the East. I think it's going to be the Sixers. I think they have planted those seeds for over a year. But yeah, I just wanted to update people because if there were people that were kind of on the fence with Denver or they were thinking about it but they weren't sure, there's a lot of people that tell me that, and then I'll say something and they'll say, oh man, I'm glad you brought that up because I was thinking of it. So I always like to bring up any narrative that comes into my mind as it becomes, apparent to me. And when I saw that, I thought, yeah, that's pretty interesting. Then you double it with the fact that the Nuggets have never won a finals, so that would make that more interesting, them going there. Again, I don't think they would win. And then you compile that with getting a redemption against the Lakers. So yeah, that's who I like. Nuggets losing to the Sixers. So again, it doesn't really matter. I just have a different team losing to the Sixers, but we'll see what happens there. And I just figured I would go into that. So maybe if people wanted to do an exact matchup, you can still get pretty good odds. So again, today we missed them both. We had the Suns winning. I had the Celtics winning today because I thought the Sixers would win the next two. But again, this one I'll take all day because the long term, the series win and if they do win the entire thing, that payout's going to be a lot better for me than the 1-to-1 payout I would have got with just Boston tonight. So yeah, let me know what you think. Again, thanks everybody. The channel is doing amazing, and it's just because of a lot of great insight, great comments, people giving the channel a chance, which is the most important thing. I might put out a video and be way off, and it's easy to watch a video and say, oh man, this guy's a clown. I get that all the time. But when you watch a few of my videos and see that I'm always trying to cover every narrative and be honest when I'm wrong, like Lakers, Warriors, Suns, which I vehemently was behind, I can now admit it's not going to happen, at least in my mind. I appreciate that you guys understand that, and I think you respect it. That's what I've been told, at least. Instead of trying to pretend I knew exactly what was going to happen from day one. If I knew that, then I wouldn't have a channel. I'd freaking have a TV show or something. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. I thought the Joker narrative needed to be brought up. Again, I would have brought it up sooner if it had popped into my head, but it kind of did. And then people on the Discord were mentioning it, and we all seem to kind of like it. Like, nobody is telling me that it sounds like a bad idea, so I'm thinking that might be exactly what they're doing. So take care, everybody, and happy earnings.